I'd really like to thank Richard Kelly for his wonderful talk. I'll leave links below about the holistic approach to education, to the training of Druids, and his claim, really, that the Druids were producing the first university. I'm not sure whether even that is true. There were systems in Greece, there were systems in Rome, there were systems among the Pythagoreans, the Babylonians, about a sort of training. And is a university just about training? I think it's more than that. It is definitely about moving forward and about finding some sort of holistic education. I think he's right, Richard is right, that the Druids had this comprehensive education, which is certainly not something we get in a modern university, where we can sort of bump into somebody in the street who knows everything about one particular aspect of physics and knows nothing about real life. But that's the charm of a modern university. It's not possible to be a Renaissance person, a Renaissance man, I was going to say, anymore, because we have too much knowledge. We can't know everything anymore. So we just know a lot about something very small, like a sort of the Zulu principle, where you read every book on one particular subject, and then you become an authority. But it's very difficult to become an authority, let's say, in finance, because there's so many books. There's so many books in theology. But the Zulu War at the time, I think, when the Zulu principle was coined, it was possible to read 100 books or so and become the authority on that particular issue. I think the oldest university is generally assumed to be, and I'm going to get into trouble here, but it's generally assumed to be the law school in Bologna, rapidly followed in a matter of 70 years by the University of Oxford, founded in the 11th century, and I'm very proud of my time in Oxford, really, and I think it's an important university, and it's very much modelled on the monastic tradition, and I like to think I was following in that, and the students gathered around the master, and picking up the crumbs that fall from the master's table. And very quickly, you've got the University of Cambridge as well. I must say, now, so many years later, I find Cambridge as so much more welcoming and so much more like the Oxford that I used to know. And Bay, come on. All right, up you come. Up you come. Bay should have gone to university. He likes making a lot of noise. And do you know, apparently Freshers Week has been abandoned and is now going to be called Welcome Week, which does seem rather silly. But there's so many innovations in our modern universities, and not always to be encouraged. So, for example, if I were to look over at Moscow, not MPGU, but the Moscow State University, the one in one of those big Seven Sisters, and Yuri Trutnev, rather than, as his Instagram would suggest, spending all his time snowboarding, is actually busy, or has actually used a lot of his time in the last year to raise money for the Wagner group with his sister Maria, and to support volunteer soldiers at the front. I didn't expect this sort of pugilism from his Instagram and Vkontakte profile, but there we are. This sort of aggression can appear in all manner of places, and I think he's being a bit of a silly boy. he should think a little bit more, but then his father is part of the system, and we can't avoid that. I know many people in the big Russian universities who are horrified by what's going on, and some of them have managed to stay, some of them have escaped to other countries, many of them have gone to Turkey and Armenia and Georgia and abandoned their studies entirely. But it is a shame, because a university is there to nurture new ideas, and to prepare the next generation for whatever developments we can see. A university is not a static thing. There isn't a body of knowledge that we pass on, and we can't know everything anymore. We've gone past the point where we can have a Renaissance man or a Renaissance person, and that is it. We're more likely to meet somebody in the streets of Oxford or Cambridge who knows everything about one particular aspect of physics and nothing about real life, and that is a joy, really, that we can meet people who are experts in their field, and who probably still have time to learn about other disciplines. And it's the joy of learning, not the condescension of knowledge. There isn't a point where that learning stops. And as I say, I'm delighted by the message sent to me by Richard Kelly, and do have a look at his video and listen to the ideas. I think it's wonderful to think of the Druids as a proto-university, developing the ideas of law, the ideas of ritual and poetry and medicine and botany that are needed to take our country forwards. And he points out that the Druids still were expected to be creative in their own right, and to travel and to crisscross the country, and that travelling is such an important part of the university tradition today, and always has been. The exchange of information through travel, through community, and through a shared respect, even if it's not, even if we're looking at people who have a greater specialization, who are specialists in their own field and not in ours. We share that love of the quest.